Step into the office of Jake Caraway, where statues, faded photographs, and stories of Granbury's past all come together. He's lived here to see it all change. And in a world that changes quickly, Jake reminds us that if history isn't remembered, it disappears.
I'm Roger Enlow with the Bridge Street History Center, and we are interviewing a fellow board member at the Bridge Street History Center, Jake Caraway. Jake, where and when were you born?
We were living here, but I was actually born at the hospital in Weatherford. But we're living in the house that I live in now on Pearl Street.
Mm-hmm. And what year were you born?
53. And on the February the 9th, so it's coming up on that.
Okay, all right. And your parents' names, they were?
Well, my dad was J.H., but he went by, everybody called him Holly. And my mother name was Kitty Nell, and a lot of the women called her Kitten. And
now, why was your dad called Holly?
His middle name was Holland. And so I think that just picked up. And there was a lot of nicknames around here back then, and some of them we don't know, and some of them we figured out later on what they were. Well, my mother was born here down on Bridge Street, about a block from where I live, and my dad was born in Weatherford, and they lived in some different places, but for the most part in Tin Top. Mm-hmm. And it's been kind of interesting to us. My wife, Patty, her dad was Preston Durant, and he and
now
his brother...
Patty is your wife?
My wife, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so they grew up with my mother and went to school with her. And then Patty's mother was Mary Barton, and they lived in Weatherford, and she knew my dad growing up in school. So we always thought that was kind of ironic.
Right. Okay, so what about your grandparents?
Nell Green, it's actually Nell Estes, was born here in Granbury. Her father was B.M. Estes, the lawyer. His office was over here on the second floor above Farina's. He built that building, practiced law there for 64 years.
Now that would be on the northwest corner of the square.
Yes, where Farina's is now.
Okay, all right.
And then my grandfather, Jake Green, was born in Thorpe Springs. The house is still there. I don't know what the address is, but when you first enter the town, there's a 2-story house with a tower on the side, and that was the Green's house. And my grandfather's father and his brother-in-law moved here they lived near LaGrange, and they were in the cattle business together, and they tried some different places, and they finally wound up in Thorpe Springs and bought some land. My grandfather had one brother, and his name, they called him Doc because he was the first college-educated dentist here in town. And his name was actually Sidney Trotz Rufus Green. And so I think I'd go by Doc anyway. I was named for my grandfather. He was Jake Ross. And my mother always told that when they were boys, they had taken in a baby deer, and they raised it, and it lived in their room like a lot of us will have a dog in their room. And that deer lived inside with them.
So Jake, where did you grow up and go to school?
Well, right here in Granbury. Now, we lived on the family ranch just outside of Thorpe Springs, and it was about 6 miles out. And back in those days, that was forever getting to town.
Mm-hmm. What would y'all do?
Just kid stuff, and we'd come and go to the movie when we could, and
Now, let's talk about the movie. What do you mean, the movie?
Oh, the Old Palace Theater, which is now the restaurant. Is it 18?
Is it 1880?
It used to be the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that restaurant.
1819,
1897 or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
One of the
there's
years.
a restaurant over there, bar downstairs.
That's the south side of the Granbury Square.
Right in the middle. And so the one thing that's always stuck in my mind was, you remember Larry Kress. I was there with my cousins. We were watching some movie, and all of a sudden, here comes Larry stomping down the aisle. And his sister was there with some boy he did not like, and he pulled that boy out of the seat and proceeded to start whipping on him.
Uh-oh.
So we had a fight right there in this, right there. And that just, it's one of those things that just kind of sticks in your mind.
Now, you said Ms. Wilkerson ran the concession stand. Right. What would you get did you partake of the concession stand?
Yeah, you know, they always had a big jug of pickles that were the size of a fence post. And then the kids would buy iced pickle juice. And I remember when Dr. Pepper started out with their program of having hot Dr. Pepper in the winter. And I think they had a coffee pot sitting there that had Dr. Pepper in it.
Pepper, yeah. Put a little bit of lemon in there.
A little bit of lemon, and then they had popcorn. Now they operated the drive-in the Brazos Drive-In during the summer. Now what was really good then was Miss Wilkerson made homemade French fries. You're bound to remember those, and just good old movie theater stuff.
Right. Do you recall any particular movies that you saw there, Jake? Maybe one of the first ones that you've...
Oh gosh, first one, I have no idea. The one that really, I've forgotten, it was back in the 60s, and there was a movie called HUD. I believe it had Paul Newman in it. And it was about cattle, and my mother wanted to go see the movie about the cattle, but she wanted to go see Paul Newman.
Something about those blue eyes, right?
I guess so. And then when you went to the drive-in, we had a little deal, and it was a coil, kind of like the coil on a stove top. And you set it on the hump of the car, and you lit one end, and that burned and kept the mosquitoes from coming in.
Right. Very good.
And he was the one that picked up we called him the last man to claim to be Jesse James. He said that wasn't Jesse. He said he'd had been way too old by then. And Orrin Baker, who was on his first term as sheriff, came down there, and he's pointing at all these spots. He said, "That's a gun wound, that's good." And Ben's going, "No," said, they called them liver spots, age spots. And he said, there might have been one scar that was a bullet wound, and said there might have been something on his neck, you couldn't tell. He said, I just really didn't think that was him. And people, there's still the tale coming from that these days.
Well, that's one of the tales in Granbury. The other is the John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about that till later on. Now, they say that he was a bartender in the building. It's on the south side, and it's the one, there's a gift shop, a mall type deal in there that's just east of the Opera House, and that's where he tended bar. And the story goes that he got really sick and thought he was going to die. And do you remember who it was he confessed to? There's somebody he told that that's who he was, and he got well and he moved to Oklahoma. And that's supposedly that family had the Derringer, but I don't know whatever happened with that. It was in the wall of a house around here. And then, now the man that moved to Oklahoma, there's a lot of, this is yet another story. He died, and they embalmed him to the point that he was a mummy. And over the years, that thing, they took that mummy around to circuses, and they bought and sold that body. And supposedly, somebody still has it in their basement up north. But they interviewed a guy that said, oh yeah, I know who it is, but I'm not telling who it is.